Hello and welcome to another Typical Boro podcast. I'm your host, Steve Dixon. Can I keep asking you all to keep subscribing to our YouTube channel? It's going very well. Numbers are on the rise, which is brilliant. If you're listening via other platforms, please rate and review. Now, a little bit of news for our next podcast. Our next podcast is going to go out on the 4th of February, which is the Tuesday after we play Sunderland. I'm pleased to announce that we're going to be live on the Red Radio for the podcast. We're going to be live on our Typical Boro YouTube channel and live on the Reds Facebook channel. So that's going to be a cracking podcast, live everywhere, right after the Sunderland game on the Tuesday. So keep a lookout for that. We'll post some stuff on the socials and stuff like that. So give you a heads up. So we'll crack on now to today's podcast, and I have my usual trusted friend on the screen, Mr. Graham Bandera. Welcome back, Bandy.
Cheers, Dicko. Good morning to Rye as well.
And we have our guest. So, he's the greatest Australian hero since Alf Stewart.
No.
He's our very own
Good
flaming
morning.
galah.
G'day,
It
coppers.
is right. We're going to have to crack on to some good news, because before we get into Preston, where Mr. Bandito was yesterday, we are going to go back to happier times, to Middlesbrough 2, West Bromwich Albion 0. We can't forget that. It was a good result and a decent performance. I seen you before the game, Bandy, in the North Stand, and you were happy with the starting lineup and fancied Middlesbrough to win.
Did. And that's what we went and did. Goal in each half. A very accomplished performance. Not one that I expected, to be honest. We played a lot better than I thought we would. The way Mowbray's team set up gave us a lot of possession, and they turned it round second half a little bit and pretty much dominated for about half an hour. But we had to regroup, and we saw a different Boro. The type of Boro we saw probably in the Millwall game, where we had to sit in, dig in, win our tackles and try and break on them. So it was a good performance, 2 fantastic goals. Great to see Hackney pushing on a bit. Obviously now with Aidan Morris into the team, gives Hackney that licence to roam a bit more and get shots off. Scored a potential goal of the season for me. It was a brilliant strike. And then Doak equalled what he did in the second half, which was just an exquisite finish. It's what I've been expecting from him, to be honest. We've seen a lot of Doak going right side, outside of his man, pinging balls in near post. But this time he chopped in and managed to find a bit of space and just curled one beautifully top corner. So, yeah, good performance, brilliant performance. Gave you a bit of hope. You think, right, that's it now. We've turned the corner. A springboard to more wins, but I'm sure we'll talk about what happened yesterday in a bit.
Right, Bandy touched on that. It was a performance that we've been waiting for a long time. It wasn't great on the eye. It wasn't a great Michael Carrick flowing football performance. But I was sitting in the North Stand, delighted to see second half when Middlesbrough under pressure were dug in. We put 10 men behind the ball at times, one with tackles, one with headers. I thought Dale Fry was absolutely immense, outstanding. He's in great form at the moment. And we dug in. Luke Ayling was up to his old tricks, time wasting and this, that and the other. And we hung on and then done what teams do to us time and time again. We caught them on the break with Ben Doak. Ben's in a beautiful winner, 2-0, game over. They're the type of results and performances that we've been missing, Rye, isn't it?
It was incredible. I mean, the script was for that game that Mogga was going to come and win, wasn't it? I mean, the script was his first game back in management after what he's been through, or the cancer treatment and everything like that, coming home back to the Riverside. But the script was that Mogga was going to win, and Middlesbrough managed to upset, to go against the script, if you will. And we seem to have that way, don't we? But like the typical Boro, a tough team comes to the Riverside and we seem to turn it on, and we defended well. I thought it was one of Tom Glover's best performances in goal as well, and I thought that obviously Hayden took his goal very well. Neto Borges setting that up, which is finally what we saw, and Ben Doak on the counter, which we've been seeing all season, was incredible. So look, it was a stellar performance. We saw what West Brom did just yesterday to Portsmouth as well, so it was incredible for Boro to get that win, and I thought it was a fantastic home performance, which we need. We need to make the Riverside a fortress.
Yeah, it's a type of performance I think we're going to need going into the Sunderland game on the Monday night as well, because Sunderland are going to come up here and they're going to have a right go to it, especially after us losing yesterday. And I think against Sunderland we're going to have to show those qualities in abundance to get anything out of that game.
Absolutely. I think going back to that West Brom game, it's probably, arguably, the first time we could say that Carrick was able to field his or one of his strongest sides. You know, there's a case for Glover, Dieng. Britton obviously is probably the better keeper for me out of all three. There's the Ayling Dyche Steele scenario. So yeah, it was pleasing that he was able to get the best team out and we got the best result. And in that game, I noticed we managed to develop some partnerships, which was good. You know, we had Fry at the back with Van der Berg. We had Morris sitting in with Hackney. So that's good. There's a dynamic happening there. And I think we need to push on with that little foursome in that area, and it'll serve us well.
Just mentioning Hackney there was a much better performance by him, playing a little bit further forward, having Morris protecting him. And I thought it was a good move taking the armband off him as captain. I don't think he's character as a captain. I think he's a young lad. I don't think he needed that weight of the armband on his shoulder. And I thought with the armband being removed from him, he just looked like he had a weight off his shoulders and he played more freely. He was getting forward and he scored a great goal. I just think leave Hackney alone. He might be a captain in a few years' time, but at the moment, just let the lad play freely. Don't know what you guys think of that, but for me, he's not at the moment, I don't think he's a captain.
I think he's a captain either. I just think he's too young. He's too inexperienced. He needs another 4 or 5 seasons, really, to establish himself as a captain. It's good that he had somebody alongside him, i.e. holding his hand, which I like to use that turn of phrase, just because it gives him that confidence then to go and lose the ball if he has to, because he knows he's got that insurance policy behind him with Morris, who was quality on the night.
And as a captain, you know, the main thing we've seen on social media with losses is that we're lacking leadership. Do you know what I mean? Well, we took it off him. We let Luke Ayling, who's in that right back role, he's got all the players to his left or in front of him. He doesn't need to worry about Tom Glover, whoever the goalkeeper is. Do you know what I mean? He can control and yell. And they've got to have a boisterous voice and an on-field presence as a captain. And I think, Hayden Hackney is a midfield maestro. I think he runs up and down that pitch all day long. He gets on the end of one, and maybe taking the pressure off him of having to, geez, where am I? What's he doing? What's Stokey doing? Sort of thing. Well, look behind me. Are the boys in the right areas? Sort of thing. I can just focus on my game, and I think it worked really well next to Aidan Morris. And as you said, Aidan Morris taking off that defensive pressure of Hayden's game allows him to move up forward, and I think that just proved to be an asset.
I think Ryan makes a brilliant point regarding the captain being further at the back. I always like a captain to be a defender, to be honest, or a central midfielder who sort of, he screens that back foot. You go back to Stuart Bourne, Southgate, Mowbray, they're all warriors, all leaders, all lead from the back. And you need to see that pitch in front of you. You need to see, how the game changes quickly when teams come at you. So you need to see everything. You need that peripheral vision. So, vital. But yeah, Hackney's he's tried his best as captain, but I think he's probably slightly relieved, if I'm honest.
So we take all that confidence and belief in clean sheet, battling display, in tremendous defensive qualities, and we take a 5,500 Red Army over to Preston to see if we can replicate that performance. And it ends up Preston 2, Middlesbrough 1. On the day, the Dawson scores on 28 minutes. We get a fantastic equaliser by Bergzog. And then the moment of the game came, and I'm going to have a go here and discuss this first. I'm going to have to start with it because that's what all the Boro fans are looking at, talking about and rewatching. The Emil Riis winner on 78 minutes. So, I've been supporting the Boro 35, 36 years. I'm struggling to remember worse goals conceded by a Boro side than that in all them years. I'm really struggling. I really am. And when you analyse the goal, so it starts off, Luke Ayling and Vandenberg, no communication. They clash into each other. Ayling headbutts Vandenberg. Vandenberg doesn't know if he's Rav Vandenberg or Christenberg singing Lady in Red. He's leaning down, pulling his socks up, touching his knees. I don't know what he's doing. Is he concussed? Is he out of it? I don't know. Has he been... So he's standing there doing that. So one person who had a bit of sense was Dale Fry. He kicks the ball out the box. Oh, yes, everything's okay. Yes, it's felt, our American boy, he's back. It's Aidan Morris, the American star. He'll sort it out. What does Aidan Morris do? Turns. Does he go to clear it? Is he going to kick it up the pitch? No, he's not. What he's going to do, our American boy, is going to knock the ball back into the danger zone. Two, it's all right. He's knocked it back to Luke Ayling. Now, Luke Ayling's played nearly 600 games in his career. Luke Ayling knows what to do. No worries. Calm down. He's going to put it out the stand. No, he's not. He's going to pretend that he's going to audition for Strictly Come Dancing on the BBC. He's going to pirouette. He's going to do a cha-cha in the middle of the box. That's what he's going to do. And give the ball to Middlesbrough's slayer, Emil Riis, to get his 7th goal in 8 games. And not only that, to make it worse, when Ayling goes to then try and block the shot doing the cha-cha, he puts it through his legs, nutmegs him, and it goes past our Tom Glover in goal, poor fella, who's been standing there bouncing up and down like Zebedee from the magic roundabout for about 5 minutes and watches it go in the corner. An absolute diabolical piece of defending at any level. Horrendous. Bandy, you made the trip to Preston. Give us the view from the stands.
Well, you've summed it up eloquently there. I can't beat that, mate. That was class. But yeah, it was an absolute sham how that goal went in. It was disgraceful, really. I mean, as soon as the name Emil Riis was mentioned coming on as substitute, everybody's looking at each other going, right, what minute is he going to score the winner in? You know, that's what happens. That's typical Boro. That's why we name it the typical Boro podcast. That is a classic Boro meme. So you knew he was going to score at some point, but we had to make sure we got enough goals to outscore them. But as soon as that ball went in, you're thinking, hang on a minute. I was obviously at the other end. You couldn't really see the clash of heads. You just saw 2 statues, really. And then Ayling sort of faffing about with it. You're just thinking, put you both through it. Put it in the stand. Never happened. Riis it falls loose for Riis. He manages to sort of take a touch to the right, finds his spot and just hits it. And yeah, there was a whiff of inevitability about it all, really. If you want me to sort of digest the match quickly, first 10 minutes I thought we were good. We were lively. The tempo was good. We sort of kicked off where we left off against West Brom. We finished that game quite strongly as well. And then somehow we managed to regress. We don't deal with transitions from the opposition well at all. We're not back in place quick enough. Thordarson, who gets wide on the left, manages to just breeze in comfortably. Fry comes flying at him. I mean, this is schoolboy stuff, by the way. He just needs to stand aside, show him the line, and put him out for a corner. But he allows him to come in on his right foot, bends it beautifully. So a great goal, but very avoidable. Then we rally a bit, and then second half we come out firing again. I thought we were excellent first 15, 20 minutes. Excellent in terms of moving the ball quickly, side to side, just waiting, probing for them opportunities. Bergzorg was lively most of the game. He was the best player for me on the pitch. Thought Morris tried, but he was toiling away. They were good in terms of their shape out of possession. They made it incredibly difficult. The standard low block that we failed to break down. So there was a lot of side to side movement. We weren't getting enough shots away. Doak was unlucky with a great run, great save from the keeper. Bergzorg came up with a fantastic goal, got us back in it. Then you're thinking, right, this is it. We're going to go on and seal the deal here and win comfortably. But again, talking about the transitions, they break on us quickly. They had 2 lively wingers who caused us a few issues when they did break on us. And we talked about the goal, just a joke goal. I cannot believe we've conceded that goal. I'd have took a point at that time because it was a tricky fixture. Higginbottom knows how to work us out. It's not rocket science.
You said so after the game, Bandy. You said so after the game.
Well, I've not seen his interview, but I could imagine it was the same sort of interview that he gave after the home game when they took points from us as well. So it's the same old agonising frustrations, and Carrick will come out and say we've got to learn. But I mean, how long do you learn? When does the penny drop where you think, hang on a minute? I said last week in the pod I don't trust this defence, and I still don't trust them. So that'll continue all season now. So the problem for me now is, how are we going to outscore the opposition? We're looking like we need to score 2, 3 every game now to win a game, because there's a mistake there every single week. It's like Billy Smart circus some weeks. It really is. And yesterday was the epitome of it. Can't say anything else, but we did okay in patches. We played okay. We were okay yesterday, but it was the game we didn't deserve anything from, because we wrestled it from our own clutches, really.
Right, you got yourself in trouble on YouTube, I hear, yesterday.
Yeah, it was, mate. Obviously, back after holidays to 2 a.m. Excited to be there. Do you know what I mean? Excited to be back amongst the fans. YouTube, obviously, me and I, YouTube and I have a great relationship, as do the fans. They know they're going to get, an adult watch. They're going to get no mature language, and then. Look, Ailing and Rav Vandenberg demonetized my YouTube channel because I just absolutely lost the plot, mate. And look, it right from the get-go, when Latte Lath does his groin, I was like, it's done. Like, it was just one of those days. Do you know what I mean? My groin started to hurt. Do you know what I mean? Because I was just sitting there. I'm like, now it's over. Do you know what I mean? Like, you could just tell he goes down with that. We get then Marcus Force on. I thought Marcus Force did okay. There was a couple of cheeky flicks and stuff like that, but I just don't see him as that number 9. I thought at one stage we were getting Sonny Finch on as well, but it didn't happen. It was Marcus Force. We see always Marcus Force in that right sort of right-handed side. We've never seen him play as a number 9, but I thought he did well. But yeah, look, it was just one of those afternoons that just absolutely frustrated me. Delano, like you said, I thought did well running throughout the pitch. I'm gonna create a character called the Hoofer. He's going to be a coach that goes into Middlesbrough, and all he's going to do is teach kids how to hoof it, because that's all I want them to do. He's going to be the hoofer. He's going to have a big beer gut, I think, and a big beard, and I'm just going to be called the hoofer, and all I'm going to do is coach kids how to hoof the ball out of danger, because I'm sick of it. I don't know how many times Middlesbrough get ourselves into danger. I love an Aussie, but Tom Glover, his clearances as well killed the momentum. When he had the ball, we rely on going back to the keeper, playing that long ball, looking for when Gilo came on, and looking down that left wing, his balls went out. It was just one of those afternoons. And then obviously, like you said, that you summed it up perfectly. That goal that we let in was just like at our level. You just had to laugh, didn't you? It was just ridiculous. So, and even the first goal as well. He walked it in. Do you know what I mean? He walked down that left wing, cut in. Dale Fry comes across, and he's done the whole hello Dale, and he just it's just like a pantomime. He just steps back and lets Dale slide through, and then just curls it around Tom Glover as well. So it's just, one question I said as well is, I love the signings of Morgan Whittaker and Ryan Giles, but have we signed the wrong people at the moment? Because at the moment we need a goalkeeper and we need another defensive right back, I would say. If we we need something in that back line, because we are just shipping silly goals week in, week out, and it's killing us.
Individual errors leading to shots on goal this season, 13 by Middlesbrough. Individual errors leading to goals this season, 8. So we've actually conceded 8 goals by individual errors, and it could have been a hell of a lot more. We've now conceded 36 goals in the league, which is more than any other team in the top 8. So, the stats don't lie. It's rinse and repeat. That's the third 2-1 defeat against Preston down at Deepdale in a row. We're just not learning our lessons. Michael Carrick, after the game, we were good at times, good at a lot of things for a lot of the game. A couple of moments where we shoot ourselves in the foot from nowhere. You can single out certain individual moments, but it was a collective. We have to stop these moments. I have to stop these moments. It's my responsibility. I thought for large parts it was good. It was as good as an away performance as we get. It's a tough one to accept, but we have to accept it, and we have to do better for the whole game.
I need to ask you lads as well. He obviously he has to say positive things and stuff like that, right? But one thing that I keep noticing that maybe, I don't know, questions it or something, but every single week I'm questioning the umpiring or the refereeing. I honestly, Mr. Busby yesterday, Sam Greenwood was lucky to still be on that pitch after 15 minutes. There was argy-bargy right from the get-go, right? We saw Luke Ayling, like you said, 600 career performances. He was on the ground saying, my foot has been stepped on here. Do you know what I mean? We saw Tom Glover's hand get crunched as well. There was just incidents left, right and centre. And each week in, week out, we saw Della go down with a penalty chance as well. There was and we're just not getting anything. We're just not getting anything. And I think if it's not us making mistakes, then it's like, well, please, footballing gods, Lady Luck, whoever it is, do you know what I mean? Please come and and kiss us on the forehead, because we're just not getting it. The ball is just not dropping, and the refereeing performances this year, I've never said it, but we need VAR in the championship, and I hate it, but we need it. We need to take if we're going to keep doing human errors for the players, fine. but we cannot have human errors at the refereeing department. We just week in, week out, I just keep seeing human errors at the refereeing point, and I'm just over it. We need something, some sort of video technology that can just help referees out at championship level, because there's just too much on the line.
Paul Heckingbottom after the game, he more or less said, you know, if you let Middlesbrough play and pass the ball around, they'll tear you apart. They're a fantastic footballing team, passing the ball around, keeping possession. But he said he was proud of his team because they had a game plan, and the game plan basically was to be aggressive and basically not give Middlesbrough time on the ball, be
That's
physical.
how it worked out. Yeah.
And he had the striker on the first half who ran himself into the ground. He went off. Then Emil Riis comes on, physical presence, and does the same. And as I say, I just think a lot of Middlesbrough have been found out under Michael Carrick. You know, the teams know how to play against, where they know how to rough up. We've got to be a bit more nasty ourselves, a bit more savvy, have a bit more game management. And you're just saying there, Rye, about lady luck, could do with a bit more lady luck. But is it lady luck, or is it actually Middlesbrough having a soft centre? Because just going through these games before I come on the podcast, Preston at home, we were 1-0 up, drew 1-1. Watford away, 1-0 up, lost 2-1. Norwich away, 3-1 up, drew 3-3. Burnley away, 1-0 up, drew 1-1. Leeds away, we got back to 1-1, lost 3-1. Sheffield at home, 3-0 up, drew 3-3. Cardiff at home, 1-0 up, drew 1-1. Portsmouth away, 1-0 up, lost 2-1. Preston away, got back to 1-1, lost 2-1. That's 18 points we've thrown away. 18 points. So
top, wouldn't it?
That can't be your luck. Now, you know, every team gives away mistakes and goals, but that's too many. It's too many times for it to happen. You know, that's 18 points. Even if you just say it was an extra 10 points, an extra 10 points now would propel us within an opportunity of attacking the top two. It's just not good enough on and off the pitch. The game management is poor. We've talked on here till we're blue in the face, me and Bandy, about his lack of foresight to see problems, trouble that's coming, not making substitutions early enough, things like that. You know, it's baffling. You've got Jonathan Woodgate, world-class defender. You've got Grant Ledbetter, one of the best defensive midfielders the Championship's ever seen, sitting behind him. And yet they're watching us game after game after game. Sloppy passes, sloppy defending. What's going on?
I think sometimes when you equalise or you're in front, you generally have, like, I would say, like a cooling period where you've got 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes even where you just think, right, they're not going to get at us here. You've just got to take the sting out of the game, because you know a team's going to come straight back at you. We have that soft underbelly where we allow teams to dominate us in that period, and that's when teams are getting into the game quite quickly. We've got to take the sting and got to be horrible, got to be ugly. We've got to waste time. You know, we saw it the other night with Ayling when he went on the floor in front of the West Brom fans and he was mimicking them and he was just winding them up. But it took a few vital seconds out of the game, and that's what we need to do. Hopefully with Morris back, we can be a little bit more unaccommodating towards the opposition in that particular area. But we are brittle, we are weak, we're weak in mind and we're weak physically, and it's got to change, because we're not going to get anywhere if we're going one step forward, 2 steps back every week. It's crazy, really. The way we let that game get wrestled away from us yesterday was a sham. It really was, and it's hard to stomach that one, because that was a tough game. Like I said about Preston, they're a good side, they're aggressive, they're horrible, they're like little terriers through midfield, they slip away at you. Finn's has never got a kick again. You know, the teams are doing the homework on him now. He had a better game against West Brom, but he was the invisible man again yesterday. He was trying things in areas where he was never going to get any joy, and they were quick at him, stopped the flow of the game. Heckingbottom knew exactly what he needed to do, and any loose balls, they were generally pouncing upon them and then breaking on us, and that's where I think we find it difficult. That killer period between, you know, scoring, going a goal up, or equalising, and not knowing how to see that 5 minutes through. We tend to think, all right, we've scored, let's go and get another one. That's Carrick's way, you know, keep going. But sometimes you've got to think, no, let's not keep going. Let's just wait 5-10 minutes, build the foothold back into the game, and then go for teams again. We're just not patient enough. We're a little bit naive, a bit cavalier, childlike in a way. So we've got to be a bit more rigorous in our approach and be a bit more brutal. And I think that'll see us get more points on the board.
Rye will keep using on the show the word inconsistency. are some of Middlesbrough's big players the problem? And what I mean by that is, you've just mentioned one there, Bandy, in Finn Azaz, who was Player of the Month.
He's a brilliant player.
Since then, he's went missing for 4 or 5 games. You've had Luke Ayling, who was tremendous last season, the assist king last season. This season, he's had a real poor time of it. He's not getting the assists. He's making mistakes at the back. You've got Hayden Hackney, who has come back. He's not been the same player. He's been inconsistent. He's great one week, then the next week he goes missing. Your favourite Riley McGree this season, in and out, big player forward on his day, one of the best in the Championship, either injured or when he's playing, he's not turning up. Latte at the start of the season wasn't scoring. Now he is scoring. I think the players, as well as Michael Carrick, have got to start taking some responsibility, haven't they, Rai?
We spoke about it last season, how Middlesbrough were plagued by so many injuries, and I think we sort of had an acceptance towards the end of the season when we kind of missed out on playoffs that it was like, well, it's just due to injuries. Well, I mean, this season it's kind of like, we kind of accepted that the squad depth is there, but I mean, losing the likes of Aidan Morris, Seny Dieng, Sol Bryn, Tom, and then you got the likes of Darragh Lenihan that you thought was going to come back, Tommy Smith, Tommy Conway going out to provide assist. It's right across the pitch with these injuries as well. And at some point, Chris Wilder was complaining that he had to put a 19-year-old on the pitch for Sheffield on Friday night. He would have absolutely lost his bucket at the bench that Michael Carrick had yesterday. Then, because I mean, there was about 4 or 5, 16, 17-year-olds on there because of the injuries, and you're absolutely right. I think we're looking for consistency on the pitch when there isn't consistency in team selection because of injuries. I mean, each week we don't see it in these press conferences you rock up on a Saturday or a Tuesday night, and then for some reason some bloke's fallen over a training cone and he's out for 2 weeks. You know what I mean? The Seny Dieng thing, like we never. All of a sudden, he's on Insta. I'm in a hospital bed. You know what I mean? And it's just there's this non-communication, and Middlesbrough fans make up stories and stuff because we just want to know what's going on, and we don't get any clarification. I mean, Riley McGree and and Anthony Dijksteel were just had niggles. And they've missed 2-3 games now. Do you know what I mean? And we just don't know. We just don't know who's going to rock up. And maybe that's Carrick being cheeky and keeping the oppositions on their toes. But at some point as well, you've got to argue that if you want consistency, then you need consistency within the team selection, within the team, the process and all that sort of stuff. And unfortunately, you can't have that when you don't have a consistent team. And I thought, but there's no arguments because Ben Doak, Finn Azaz, Delano have played a lot of minutes of football together this year. And, Ben Doak was muscled out yesterday. I think they've found out that if you muscle Ben Doak, he kind of goes a bit shy. Mag Homer, I think it was, for Preston, was muscling him off. And then he loved a bit of argy-bargy, and that sort of put Ben Doak back in his shell a little bit. Latte Lath coming off, Marcus Force hasn't got the minutes. And, consistency is the key. I think consistent teams, we've seen it with Ipswich. Ipswich were consistent for 2 years. Then they got to the Premier League. Do you know what I mean? You've seen Southampton, who were consistent towards the end of the season. Do you know what I mean? If you can find consistency, even in patches throughout the season, you're going to be set right. But I think it's very hard for Middlesbrough to be consistent when we don't have a consistent team. And you nail in the head, when you've got team players like Riley McGree dropping in and out, Tommy Conway, who I thought started off, excitingly. Finn Azaz, probably should have a competitor in there as well. Do you know what I mean? Someone that can come in. Is it Alex Gilbert? I'm not sure that he's sort of knocking at the door hard enough, but, maybe Morgan Whittaker now in that area sort of thing. So, yeah, consistency is absolutely key, but I think it is very hard to find that when you don't have a consistent team.
Should Carrick be a bit more open, Bandy? I mean, I've said on and I don't care. I make no apologies for it. I find these press conferences before the games and these press conferences after the games absolute boring. I find it waste of time, no emotion. He doesn't tell you anything, and you go back to past managers, even like Sir Neil Warnock. He'd have a laugh before the match. You'd tell you if he was after a player. He would tell you if somebody was injured. I think sometimes when you're a bit more open with the fans, it's easier for fans to accept that's just the way things are if somebody's injured or what have you. I think it's more frustrating personally when you hear all this, is everybody fit for the weekend? Yeah, they're okay, and this one's is Dijksteel back shortly? Oh, he's on the grass, or a little bit longer, and it just seems to go on and on and on. And as a supporter, I just feel like it's depressing I just want a little bit more clarity, a little bit more honesty from my manager. Tell me something before the game of interest. That's why we've turned up to the press conference.
Yeah.
Listen to you. We want something of interest. After the game, if it's not gone well, show some emotion, call somebody out, get angry. Instead of all this, the boys have done well, the boys have tried, were unlucky. It's like, I don't know. It's just the way I take it. Maybe past managers have been a bit more enthusiastic. Michael, I don't know.
It's a tricky one because we're all wired completely differently, aren't we? His character he's quite guarded. He's quite introvert. He was like that as a player. He was casual, but he was effective. He didn't need to do too much on the ball. It was give and go, but he was always in the right place. He was a vital cog in that fantastic Man United side for 7, 8, 9 seasons. He was brilliant. But his character for me is identifiable. I don't mind the way he operates, but I just wish he would get a little bit more angry on the touchline. He sometimes looks out of control of what's happening, or he doesn't quite know what to do. But again, that is his nature. He probably says things behind the scenes that we will never know, but we would love to know. But he's not going to show them, publicly, which is disappointing because we all want some crazy lunatic running up and down the line, kicking water bottles and screaming and shouting at every player for being absolutely crap. But he's never going to do that. He's not going to show that level of that volatility and out of control behaviour.
We've got the best in the business at doing it, though, haven't we? We've got the best in the business. We've got the goalkeeping coach Leo Perovic from a couple of years ago still involved.
A little bit.
Bring Leo back, get him up and down the touchline, rallying the fans and fighting with the opposition, and I just think, just jokingly, right, but seriously as well, would Michael Carrick benefit from a more experienced coach coming in alongside him?
I mean, when we first saw him coming in, there was talks of René Mullerstein coming in as his assistant. Obviously, he was the assistant at the Socceroos at the time. The same guy, I can't remember his name, that went in to help Wayne Rooney towards the end of his tenure at Plymouth. There was all these ex-Man United, legends that were planning on coming down and helping Carrick. And the talk was that we're going to give Carrick someone more senior. We had the perfect figure of someone more senior that could have probably come in and done a bit of a head honcho role in Tony Mowbray. Obviously, he wants to be a head coach. I can understand that. But maybe we could have gotten Mogger on as an advisor or something like that. He was right there. He was at every game. He was in the commentary box and all that sort of stuff. Maybe we could have used, him a little bit more. But I get it, when he wants to be a manager, he wants to be the first team manager, you can't really do it. And obviously, Michael Carrick's got, the setup. But yeah, it's like Bandy said. He's a calm-natured person. You want him to be angry because that's what you're feeling as a fan. You want him to be fired up because that's what you're feeling as a fan. You want him to yell, scream, and shout, but that's not who he is. That's not in his nature. Do you know what I mean? And he seems to stay calm, cool, and collected. And sometimes that might work, and I think sometimes he gets found out as well. I think you can see in some cases, like Portsmouth, where they get that first Matt Ritchie goal, for instance, and you're like, well, hang on, they're on a bit of a roll here. Let's change it up. And he doesn't do it. Do you know what I mean? And then that's where the calm and collected, you get frustrated with it. But then you look at West Brom and we go, okay, he hasn't made any subs second half, and then we get a roll on. So it kind of comes and flows, but unfortunately I think it's flowing in the wrong direction more than it flows in the right direction sometimes. And again, I look at the bench yesterday and it was very hard for me to go, well, who else can we bring on? Obviously you had Alex Gilbert, Marcus Force. The rest were all youngsters. Do you know what I mean? There wasn't much to turn to on that bench either. So sometimes I think Carrick goes, I can't turn to Sonny Finch to go and turn this game. What is it? Cole Palmer's cousin. You know what I mean? The Palmer that was on the bench. You know what I mean? Like, you can't turn to him. So, that's hard as well when you haven't got people on the bench that can change it. So, yeah, it's hard for me. I think Michael Carrick needs those people. And you know what? I'm going to say I think one of them that people seem to be hating on, but George Edmondson, the fridge, I think he's got that in him. I think he's got that now to start yelling. When you listen when just the game sounds, you can hear him from a mile away. And I think he's got a little bit of that in him. And I love that George is at the club. I hope it's not at the sacrifice of Matt Clark, because I still think Matt Clark's a fantastic defender. But I think George Edmondson can make a big role in that defensive line for the rest of the season, because I think you need that person out there that's going to scream and shout, like you said. And I think George Edmondson might have a bit of that in him.
Mike Phelan was the name you're thinking of for the Plymouth Rye. Mike Phelan.
Yeah, we've mentioned him before on the pod, haven't we? I think he'd be good.
He's available as well at the moment, but never mind. You just mentioned George Edmondson there. So, Bandy, obviously Middlesbrough done a bit of transfer business this week. Ryan Giles is coming on loan. Obviously, George Edmondson, the fridge, 2.5 year
contract. I think they call him the fridge because he leaves me cold. That Blackburn at home in the cup game was enough for me. I thought, no, this guy can't be trusted. I don't get in on his case, but he was great for a period. But you can't just be a player and be great for a period. You've got to be great consistently all the way through. Barring the odd mistake, we can forgive, but not every week. Not you gifting a goal every week. No. If he's starting games, I'm concerned.
I'm a bit like Rye. I don't mind him too much, George Edmondson, and in the fact that I think that second goal yesterday, I think George Edmondson would have put his foot through it. So I don't mind him too much. I think he is a leader. I do agree. I see him calling people out on the pitch, but I understand Bandy's argument that to get Middlesbrough where they need to be, we'll probably need a little bit more quality. But he hasn't cost a fortune, so...
You say he would have put his foot through it. I've seen him in situations similar to that where he hasn't, and he's faffed about with it in the box again. It's that way of playing. But you're right. You've got to put your foot through it at that point. Just alleviate any sniff of danger.
Morgan Whittaker, guys, he's come in. I thought that was a real, bit of ambition shown by Steve Gibson. £6 million plus 2 million add-ons, 8 million possible deal. Comes in from Plymouth, 20 goals last season in 50 games. Plays on the right, but he's left-footed, likes to cut inside, get his shot off. He can play in a number 10 role. He's obviously going to be a replacement eventually for Ben Doak moving forward, regardless of what division we're in. Good signing, boys. Yeah, good signing. Shows a bit of intent, bit of ambition. I think you're right. Long term, he will be the replacement for Ben Doak. Sadly, it'd be nice to have them both in the team over a long period of time, but that ain't going to happen, unfortunately. Predominantly plays on the right, comes in on his left foot, got a wicked shot. Does that quite regularly. His goal tally last season tells you that. He's been a bit indifferent this season, probably for a number of reasons. Probably he wanted away. He wants to play at a better level, which is hopefully with us. Not sure whether he's any use on the left. Reached out on Twitter to a few Plymouth fans, and they probably think it's a waste of a shirt if he plays on the left side, which is a bit of a worry. If Carrick's brought a player in and he's going to put him left, because no way you're going to displace Ben Doak. Probably, I would think he would play more central, which he's capable of, as a 10 or even up front, and then possibly shift Azaz across to the left. But if we've got sort of Ryan Giles bombing on, playing 20 yards higher up the pitch, it might make almost like a front four. You've got Giles, Azaz, Whittaker, and Doak, which would be quite frightening, really. So that's Carrick's problem, not mine. That's his dynamic he needs to sort. I'm sure he'll find a way to accommodate and get the best out of him. But yeah, brilliant signing. Really pleased with that one. I was saying throughout the transfer window, I'm generally bored of it. I still am, to be honest, because I don't really think it's helpful to many clubs during this period of the season. But long term, it's a great signing. Not sure how much impact he'll have short term, but long term, I think we'll get some good usage out of him. So a really good signing, and probably there'll be a bit of sell on if he ever moves on from us. Little bit of breaking transfer gossip this morning is David Strelic from Slovan Bratislava. Can't even say that word there, Bratislava. He's plays for Slovakia. He's got 10 goals in 18 games for his club and 7 goals in 28 appearances for Slovakia. He'll not be the first one, of course, to come from Slovakia to Middlesbrough, because older supporters like me and Bandy will remember the Slovakian Express, Szilard Nemet.
And
who also played for them as well back in the day.
The old easy Slovenian, Smara. Slovenian.
Smara.
He's Slovenian.
He's Slovenian.
Slovenian. As the song goes, he's Slovenian. Yeah. So the link there, is that a hint that, Latialat could be on his way, or? I think yesterday was a problem when Lath went off. You're thinking, right, who's up front? First thing you think of, and then obviously he puts Force up there, who, to me, looks a bit like a fish out of water up front. I prefer him on the right, always have done. It's not a slur on his ability, I just think he's better equipped there. So yeah, we do have an issue now, if Latt is out. And I've no idea whether he's going to be out, injured, or he's going to move. No one knows. He sits up in the air every single game. I've said all season, it's become a bit of a problem, bit of a nuisance that we could do without. We need some settled players in the team. So yeah, that is an issue now. But he may opt to play Whittaker there. Who knows? Or he might play with a false nine even.
Could be anything.
If he's done his groin, he could be out for 2 months. It just depends how severe it is. They reckon Conway is close, but as we know,
a little bit
by
longer.
Middlesbrough,
A little bit
close
longer.
can mean next week or 3 weeks. So, yeah.
I thought Morgan Whittaker's signing was fantastic. For me, I when I look down at some of the signings that Middlesbrough make, I think it's quite clear now that you've been around a bit, as you two lads have been, you can kind of see what's a Kieran Scott signing and what's a Michael Carrick signing. And what I mean by that is I think you can see when Kieran Scott brings in Aidan Morris from the MLS and when he brings in Latte Lath from God knows where, from 5.5 mil, do you know what I mean? And Kieran Scott, Chris Jones, recruitment, study, this is who we've got, this is what we want, go and get some sort of player. Then you've got a Michael Carrick signing, obviously Ryan Giles wanted, Michael Carrick's like, please go and get me Gilo. Morgan Whittaker, I think, is a Michael Carrick signing as well. He's gone, please, and you can see, I think Finn Zaz, do you know what I mean? Some of these players that have come in that have had absolutely star games against us, Michael Carrick's going to go and get them sort of thing, and it's worked out. So I think the players that are Michael Carrick signings are very, are exciting. And I think, with Ryan Giles coming back in, Morgan Whittaker, it creates that selection issue, of where you're going to fit him in. And I think that's only good things. I think it does sort of make you a little bit worried, obviously, with Ben Doak leaving. But if you had told me at the start of the window, hey, we're going to get rid of Izzy Jones and bring in Morgan Whittaker, I would have snapped your hand off of that. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's a fantastic signing. But look, it's, for me, I think we need another striker on the books, because the problem with the MLS, like we saw with Matt Crooks just last January, the MLS window still goes beyond our January. Do you know what I mean? So the MLS window, they are still able to sign players past the point that we can't. And we saw it with Matt Crooks. Matt Crooks left, 10, 11 days after January shut, you know what I mean? And we're all like, oh my God, we just lost Matt Crooks and we got no way of replacing him. So with Latte Lath now, if Atlanta are still keen and they manage to, save 24 mil or something like that in a month's time, then, we're left with Conway. Do you know what I mean? That's really it, because we don't see Marcus Force as a 9. We've got Sonny Finch, who's, 18, 19 years old with a bright future. So we really do need a second striker. Where that comes from, I think that's, I'm not sure if, Michael Carrick's identified one or Kieran Scott his, but that, the rumour today for me, Dicko and Bandy, I think is a Kieran Scott, research, and that's, they're sort of putting that into action, because we need another striker now, because if Latte Lath's done his groin, always off Atlanta, you got to cover him. Conway, a little bit longer, you got to cover him, and so we need a third striker, and I want to see a big unit. We play these. We've got Conway, we've got Latte, these small, speedy Gonzalez, absolute fantastic strikers. I want that Osmajic that we saw yesterday at Preston. That big boy up front on the end of Ryan Gilo, bangs it in, with his massive head. So that's what I think we need up front, and it looks like the rumor from today was that this is a big lad that can then create a bit of strength up front.
Just get Tuba on the phone, get Tuba back, get the band go back together, yeah?
Aaron
That'll
Ramsey,
right,
Cameron Archer, do you know what I mean? Bring them all back. So, I mean, we just don't realise how lucky we were at that, at the end. And I think, we've gotten Ryan Giles. I think he was key. And if you can unlock the Ryan Giles we had in that season, my goodness, have we got a good left back there. And there was something about it when he came on yesterday. I'm not sure how you lads felt, but I just I felt good. I was like, left back sorted. And I haven't felt that way with Borges and Gell. Do you know what I mean? Maybe Bangura, I relaxed a bit, but when he's in left back, even though his defensive capabilities are a bit, I just it's done. That's, that position is sorted. So finally, sort of thing. And I don't think we've had that.
He did look like he was at home yesterday when he got an early touch straight away.
Exactly.
And he went on a run, he hit a shot just past the post. So he's got intent, he's got a point to prove. So yeah, I'm pleased he's back. I'll still question him defensively, like I'll question all of our left backs, because they play so high up and they're targeted every single game, whoever it is. But offensively, he's far better than what we've had this season.
Completely agree.
And he showed that in 20 minutes yesterday for me. I thought he was good, and he just sort of lifts the players. He lifted the crowd at the time, because despite us taking 5,500, I thought we were pretty quiet, if I'm honest. We were, because I guess fans sort of knew what to expect. We knew it was that sort of game. They're going to dig in. It's going to be tricky. It's going to be hard to break them down. When we did score, we had a rousing 15 minutes. The crowd were lively. And then, again, there was a whiff of inevitability. As soon as they countered us, you think, oh, here it is. And then as soon as Emil Riis' name went up, and you come on, you think, right, what minutes are you going to score in?
I think the good thing about Giles as well...
games.
I think the good thing about Giles as well is you generally know he's delighted to be here. So every time he plays for the shirt, he's going to be playing for the shirt. He's going to be giving his all. So that means a lot to the supporters when they know somebody's playing for the shirt. I think we've lacked that a lot this season. I'm just going to competition winner for the Typical Boro podcast. We had a walkout jacket or retro shirt available of your choice from the club shop available. And the winner for that is at Paul Mac 1982 on X. Paul David, that's what his name is. So if that's you,
Paul,
we'll find you. We'll find you. We'll hunt you down. We'll get in contact with you, and hopefully you'll be able to pick
Paul.
a walkout jacket or retro shirt. So well done. Right, we're going to go into the last bit of the podcast because we've got a reasonably big game coming up against Sunderland. Dun dun dun.
Yep, taking on the French national
going
squad
into that
of Sunderland.
game, right?
Yep, the French Revolution, Dicko.
How much pressure is Michael Carrick under now going into that game? How big is it for Middlesbrough to win that game or certainly not lose it?
Derby-ish, if you want to call it. It is massive. I mean, Sunderland are... I think what's hurt more this season, and you try not to, but the way that Sunderland and the Mackems have been going has hurt us more because that's it, that where they are is where we expected when the doors kicked off to be. What they're doing is what we expected Middlesbrough would be doing, and what they're doing what we can't at the moment. And I think that's left a bit of a sting in our sort of tail at the moment. They've got young Bellingham and Rigg running around in that midfield that are incredible. They've got William Isidore up front. Do you know what I mean? They've got this French manager that's come out of nowhere, and he's just, they got Enzo Lafay, where they paid the biggest Lafay you've ever seen, for a midfielder. So it's incredible to see what Sunderland are doing, and I think
Brilliant.
that should drive our boys on, if not more than ever. I mean, it's at home. It's going to be after January. So we'll know what goalkeeper we've got. We'll know what our defensive capabilities is. We've got a bit of a week or so after that as well to relax, and got Morgan Whittaker and all that sort of stuff. That is the statement game for me. If we cannot get a point or at least 3 points from that game, I think it's then that's, it really is a statement game for me, because if we can knock them off, then that going into playoffs, it gives you the confidence that if that's the team we're going to have to play at Wembley, we can do it. Do you know what I mean? And unfortunately, they beat us in the reverse fixture, but, anything can go. If we want to be in the playoffs, we're going to have to beat teams like Burnley, like Sunderland, you know what I mean? Like West Brom, like we did on Wednesday night. West Brom, test complete. Sunderland, test isn't complete yet, and that test comes on the 4th of Feb, and it's a real statement to Morgan Whittaker signings, to Michael Carrick signings, to whatever happens on January deadline day. We need to take it to the Mackems, and it needs to be one of the best performances of the season.
Right, where do you stand on the Michael Carrick debate? And what I mean by that is, I've said on here, if Middlesbrough don't make the playoffs this season, the money we're spending, the players we've got, the quality of squad we've got, it's a disaster. And if we don't make the playoffs, I've said I would change him in the summer. I would take him out. I'd bring in a new coach, new ideas, because that'll be 3 opportunities Michael Carrick won't have got us to where we need to be. And I think when you listen to the same voice over and over again for a number of years, eventually people stop listening. Now, don't get us wrong, we're sitting 6th. We could make the playoffs, we can win the playoffs, and we can go up, and Michael Carrick goes into the Premier League, and we're all happy and march on. But I made the comments that, me personally, if we don't make the playoffs, I would look for a change in the summer. Bandy, I think, would like to give him another year. Where do you?
Yeah, still would.
Where do you sit on the Michael Carrick debate?
Carrick can't say he's not been given the tools. I think that the club's backed him. They've given him all the time. We saw last season with falling just short in the injuries. Got him a new summer deal, and then you go and see Simon's. The signings that he's got. He hasn't not been given the tools to get us to where we need to be, and where we need to be is is playoffs, and that's not, that's a club expectation. That's been told to us at the start of the season, that playoffs are the goal. Michael Carrick and everyone out of that club, before we even kicked a ball this season, said that we are playoffs. We are a minimum playoffs. And if you don't get that, then you haven't hit your goals. And unfortunately, if you're in a normal job and you don't meet the criteria, do you know what I mean? Then obviously, the boss probably has a word with you, sort of thing. It's tough because it's a case again of, at that stage, who do you go and get? Who's available? What coach is out there that can make us better? Who's, is Kieran McKenna being sacked at Ipswich? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I think that'll be a case there. I think at the moment, you've got Michael Carrick's got, 4 more days or 5 more days with Kieran Scott and co to build the squad that they want. It has to be what they want to go in. And we need to make playoffs. And as I said, the statement for me is Sunderland. And if he can't get us over Sunderland, who is a new manager into the league, you know what I mean? If he can't do his homework to understand how to knock down the Mackems, then for me, it's look at the paper of what Sunderland have done. They brought in a new coach after what a horrid season they had last season. This unknown Frenchman's come in and absolutely cheesed us, the league. So it's and unfortunately maybe that's what Middlesbrough need at the end of the day. Look, it's hard. I'm glad I'm not in that position. I love Michael Carrick. I think he's an absolute and a lot of players come to our club because of Michael Carrick. I think he's got a lot to prove as a coach as well. Morgan Whittaker, Ryan Giles are all here because of Michael Carrick. I've spoken to Riley McGree. They all love Michael Carrick as well. So I think there is a point to prove from Michael and the club that this is the way forward. I spoke about it just quickly and I don't want to take up too much, but when we sacked Wilder, if you have a look, there was 2 names that, if you remember, it was Rob Edwards and it was Michael Carrick. We chose to go Michael Carrick. Rob Edwards took Luton up and now has been sacked after the horrid performance that they've got. So we need to show that, Michael Carrick was the right choice because those were the 2 names that we were going to go between and we chose Michael Carrick.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Bandy, Sunderland, how big is it for you? How big is it for Michael Carrick? And it's we've said this on here a number of times over the season. It's another must not lose, isn't it?
Yeah, that's first and foremost. Do not lose the game. We can't win it, but do not lose against them at home. I mean, I thought we were dreadful at Stadium of Light early part of the season. I mean, they didn't have to play that well to beat us. They got the goal from Rigg, and then that was it. They just camped out and then didn't allow us to do anything really. So we've got to get at them early, try and get a goal, and then it'll lift the crowd. The longer the game goes on, the crowd will probably get nervous. It'll be a full house. Whether or not you think it's a derby, it's irrelevant. It's a big game for us and it's a big game for them. No one can deny that. It'll be a raucous atmosphere. Crowd will be bang up for it. It'll be a different type of game from what we used to at the Riverside this season because the atmosphere has been flat. And it's over to the players to respond and be lifted. We keep hearing Carrick saying there's a need for positivity, turn out in your numbers. 5,000 there yesterday and they didn't show up again. So it's not for the fans to say it's to the players. It's the responsibility is on them to put on a performance. Sunderland are excellent, can't deny that. People keep saying all season, they'll fall away. I think that's a little bit disrespectful and a bit dismissive. They're our neighbours, and we've got to have that respect for them in that way. Not necessarily you don't have to like them, but you got to be aware that they are having a really really good season, and they're not going to fall away because they've got a great manager with some very good players, and they're going to come here full of confidence. So it's up to us to spoil their party. But yeah, do not get beat. And if we can find a way to sort of to break them down and get at them and actually score, then we've got to have that period where we need to sort of galvanise and stick at it as a team. Like I said earlier, that 5-minute period where it can change like that quickly again. And we've seen it all too often this season. But I think a draw wouldn't be a bad result. But your heart says you want to be better than, but I don't think we're capable. But we've rose to the occasion in big games this season. But two barnstorming games against Burnley, who are arguably one of the best teams in the league as well. So we've proved that we can do it, but it's all about concentration,
I'll be starting
aptitude, and taking chances when we get them.
As well.
Because they do give up chances, so we will get chances. You mentioned about statement signings. I mean, no bigger game for him to cement the place in Boro folklore by bagging the winner. And it's games like that which they have a funny way of twisting and turning, and it could go in our favour. So yes, he has to start, but where he starts is a whole new podcast.
No idea.
Carrick's not even alluded to where he's going to start, which is a bit of a worry. I hope he hasn't signed this player and thought, well, we'll play him on the right instead. Well, hang on a minute, I've got Ben Doak there. Who am I going to play? So you've got to have a little planning process before you actually sign these players. I don't want Whittaker turning up expecting to play on the right and then him saying, do you mind playing on the left, son? And then he'll say, well, I've never played on the left in my life, mate. He's like, well, you're going to have to play there. That's going to pay him off straight away, isn't it? So you've got to get these players in, get them settled, get them comfortable, knowing where they're playing. We've seen it in the West Brom game. Every player played in their right foot position for me, and they all performed. So when you've got players playing out position, you're not going to get that level of consistency.
I think it'll be a raucous atmosphere against Sunderland, because I think Middlesbrough fans are angry now. I think they've had enough. I mean, just a little bit of praise to the Middlesbrough support this season's been magnificent again in terms of numbers, and to sell out at Portsmouth nearly 2,500, to then rock up with 5,500 at Preston, and then they're probably going to be 30,000+ against Sunderland. I think the 30,000+ against Sunderland will be right up for it, because they know this is probably make or break for us this season. We'll beat Sunderland, we'll get new players into the team, we could take off and cement ourselves in the playoffs. Lose to Sunderland, there's going to be huge pressure on the club, Michael Carrick, and our playoff aspirations. So I think it's a huge game for many, many reasons. But I've just got a feeling it could be one of those terrific Riverside nights that you remember. It's going to be live on ITV for whatever bizarre reason that is. So the nation will be watching as well. And it's one of those nights where Middlesbrough need to turn up, both on the pitch and off the pitch.
You've got the added factor that obviously Michael Carrick's a Newcastle fan as well, and that could work in our favour. Just might give them that extra few percent. But yeah, there's parallels with the Chelsea game in the semi-final.
Yes, yeah.
In terms of what the outcome of the game could be. It could be a game to live long in a memory, or it could be a total disaster and we just want to forget about it, and people will be ready to jump off the Transport Bridge if they beat us. Yeah, mate. It can't happen. It can't happen.
Listen, lads, we're going to call it a day there. So I want to thank you for coming on, Rye, again. Tremendously entertaining, great comments,
so much for having
great
me.
thoughts.
Always been here.
We'll get you back on again. Thanks again to you. Thanks again, Mucker.
Our pleasure, mate. Brilliant. Cheers, Rye. Top man.
Look, thanks for having me. Love being here. Love always. And, from down under, I love you.
And remember, Boro fans, don't see a typical Boro. Watch it and listen to it. And we'll see you live on YouTube, live on Facebook, and live on the Red Radio on the 4th of February. Up the Boro.
Up the Boro.